How about now? There we go. Okay. Hey, and welcome to Blaine's Escape Corner, our little corner of the internet where we get together and build a community around the ways that we escape the mundanity of life. And today we're going to start out with some anime reviews and that we've started seeing this season, and then get into kind of a business breakdown of the anime industry, both Japanese and English. I want to dig down. I want to see where the money is, where the money goes, how the business stays afloat, because something that's important to our escapes is that they remain our escapes. If our escapes don't make any money, they cease to exist. So I want to get into as much detail as we can in the next hour, 2 hours, and see what we can turn up, how the industry is doing, if it's going to be sticking around, which spoiler alert, it probably will. So let's pour ourselves some sake tonight. Again, we are running the Tanuki because it's a giant container and I left it here from yesterday, so we will get ourselves a nice glass. Beautiful glass, wonderful glass, simply the best glass ever. Glass like this just doesn't exist. Boop, boop, boop. That's on silent. Alrighty. Kanpai. Yummy. Alright, let's start out. Let's talk about what we have seen so far this season. You can follow, I've got the Annie list link down below. I keep my Annie list updated. This one is specific to this show, so it's only going to have stuff that we have chosen to watch in the show or are watching with this show, and it won't have my long history of anime tied to it. So don't expect to see years and years of anime on here and try to compare what we've seen. It's gonna just be basically this spring season and what I've been interested in so far. Jumping into it, Daemon is one of the weirdest titles I've seen. What does it mean? Something? Hold on. Daemon. Yeah, I know it sounds like demon. Japanese meaning? No, not daimon. That's different. Daemon. Boy, male? Diamond? No, that's daimon. That's different. Maybe I do a Google Translate. Translate Japanese. This won't work if it's just a name, though. Daemon. Did I mean Damon? No, I didn't. I meant Daemon. Or Daemon. That maybe... Hold on. Daemon. Encounter Mon? No. Counter. Maybe it has... Maybe it's some other word. We'll have to figure that out. We'll dig into that. All I know is that it is an anime about the everyday comings and goings of a sweets shop in Kyoto, which, is Katie's favorite. She loves all the sweets. She's got a video on our other channel about all of the sweets shops in Kyoto that she's been to and loves. And Diamond, Recipe for Happiness, is just adorable. It's a prodigal son story. We're just getting into it. We've got a little girl who was abandoned by her actual family, being raised by somebody else, and she is trying to be the one that takes over the shop. So very fun. We've got the surrogate dad. We've got the surrogate daughter relationship going to be growing there, I'm sure. I don't know if we'll quite get to Sweetness and Lightning vibes, where it's completely adorable and amazing, but it definitely has that premise starting right off the bat. Last time we watched the new Rising of the Shield Hero season 2 released, so we caught that. Find yourself a quick synopsis on YouTube of what happened in season 1. They start dropping stuff like we're the heroes who need to stop the wave, and some other names where you're like, wait, what? Because it's been, what, a year year and a half since the last Shield Hero season, so do a little bit of catching up as far as the terms go, but it kind of jumps into it, gives you a little like, here's the characters and here's the story as it stands right now. So I think it works good as a good kind of transitional episode. Maybe I would have liked them to just release a 5-minute, like, here's our transition between seasons 1, season 2, to let you know kind of what's changing and what's going new, and then jump into an actual season 2 episode. Would have been nice, I think, for me, at least in my opinion. The greatest demon lord is reborn as a typical nobody. Here we have a demon lord remake of the strongest sage with the weakest crest. It's giving me those vibes so far. You've got demon lord, lonely and noble, and too powerful to really make friends, and then being reincarnated, and now they're just a dude. But they're a dude with an affinity for many magic powers and a memory of magic that is long ago lost. So, of course, they're immediately OP. And I think this is going to be one of those... I'm calling them pseudo isekais, but it really is a traditional fantasy anime, which is sort of that... You know, we used to argue all the time, like, don't make an isekai, just make it a fantasy. We're getting that in these reincarnation ones where they're in the same world. So... they're just dying and then being reborn, and it's the same world, the same universe. It's just, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, however many thousands of years in the future, and everything is a little bit different, and they have some sort of past knowledge that lets them be better than everybody else. We saw this with what is that one with the great Demon King? The Demon King reincarnates, and he's like a baby, and he's like, hello, mother. And it's like, what? Why? Why is baby talking? Hold on. Isekai baby talking. Reincarnates. Hold on. Mushoku Tensei. Yeah, but he was an actual... Demon Lord. Wait, hold on. Demon King Academy. The Misfit of Demon King Academy. There we go. Look at that. Google to the rescue once again. Misfit of Demon King Academy is the first one that comes to mind recently that had this sort of something gets reincarnated or someone gets reincarnated, but it's in the future, and so they're that OP powerful protagonist isekai'd without being isekai'd because it is still technically the same world. So interesting there. Did we talk Tomodachi Game? I think we read the review for Tomodachi Game, but I didn't really say what I thought about it. They it's going good places. I think it's going good places. I think that it will be if it goes to the right place, it'll be fantastic. If it's just a thin veneer of edginess, then it's not going to be that great. Right now, you've got a group of friends who it literally just says they're friends. So we're just going to assume, they're friends. They know each other. They'll hang out. Who somebody has a debt that they need to repay. And then all 5 of these friends get pulled into this game where they're playing like kids games, essentially. The first one is sort of a Japanese version of a Ouija board. And the question is, who among them has a debt, and are they lying in order to sort of get rid of that selfishly, or are they actually playing for the group? And so I hope it sticks to like the main character's perspective so that we always have only what he knows. If it starts telling us what other characters know and lets us in on that, it'll be a little They've already sort of given away the plot as far as there's an organization that's watching these people that is, a lolly girl and her handler that are just laughing at human misery. So they've given away that part, but as long as we don't know which of the friends has the debt originally and whether or not the friends are lying or telling the truth, and we stay from his perspective of trying to decide, are his friends trying to backstab him, or, do they have secret information where they're trying to help everybody in the system? So I'm hoping it stays down that road. It could be really good, but it could also open up to one of those very quickly where suddenly everything is revealed and it's 4 episodes in. And, where do they go from there? So I'm interested to see where that goes. I am excited to see where that goes. And we'll see. We'll see. Main character is basically just a little voice box. So we will, or the main mascot character is basically a voice box. We'll see where that goes. Definitely hit that like button, subscribe. We'll be doing these daily update reviews Monday through Friday on stuff that we've been watching and keeping up with. Again, my Annie List link is down below in the description if you want to follow along with what we are watching. Alrighty. Let us talk about Jujutsu Kaisen. Sorry, I wanted me to disable ad block, and I said okay, and it just disappeared, so I can read this anyway. I loved the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. That was a really fun movie. I quite enjoyed it. It was very good at being that sort of prequel that doesn't like it looks planned. Everything about it feels planned. It doesn't feel like it was a shoehorned in thing. It doesn't feel like it's sort of going to ruin the future. Because of the fact, we had that one-off line in the mainline series. It was like, oh, where's Yuta? And they're like, oh, he's off studying in America, or whatever they said he was. He's off abroad. So it worked really well as like a tie-in where we get to just see a little bit more about these characters. We get to learn a little bit more about the bad boss. Of course, it's a prequel, so we know, so-and-so doesn't die, so-and-so does die, so-and-so, what's going to happen, where are they at, we're going to learn that. We're going to get all of that together, but we're not really ruining the mainline series. It also is done very well. Very well. It has done 30 million in North American box office. And I believe it was just 1,500 theaters that carried it in North America. So not a ton of theaters that it released in, but enough that you're blanketing. Basically, anyone in a major metro would have been able to get in and see this show. But the question of the day is, Jujutsu Kaisen 0 tops 30 million, leading actors to reveal shockingly low pay rates. So I saw this show, or this headline. I was like, okay, interesting. I know some voice actors. I know a little bit about how everything works on the back end there. I'm familiar enough with how businesses run, how contracts work, how freelance works. So I thought this might be a fun topic to jump into. Alrighty, and I love the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero's English dub discuss how little they were paid as the movie becomes one of the highest grossing anime films ever. So let's just real quick, they have the 10 highest grossing anime movies ever. Movies currently estimated to have earned 162 million worldwide. Okay, let's see. Do they have the list? Hold on, let me pull this off the screen. I'm gonna try to search, see if we can find the highest grossing anime movies. We want to keep it to movies. We don't want to look at that. We will use Wikipedia because why not? Alrighty, so here we are. Pop, 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 pop. You gonna let me in? And let me in. There we go. Alrighty. We'll do this. We will do this, I guess. We can, oh, you can see all my things. There we go. There we go. All right. Number 1, Demon Slayer, the movie. Mugen Train, $503 million. That is a lot of money. Spirited Away, 2001. So this one held the title for a very long time. We were at 395 million. Your Name at 380 million. Howl's Moving Castle 236, Ponyo 204, Weathering with You 193, Stand By Me Doraemon with 183. Dang, Doraemon, what are you doing up there? Pokemon's first movie, 1998. Wow. Now again, that one's going to be bolstered because of the because of the playing card game and how Pokemon was such a craze, but that's crazy to think that years, well, I guess only 3 years before Spirited Away, Pokemon hit that. Oh, but it only barely beat out Princess Mononoke. Interesting. Okay, so the community was around. We got Bayside Shakedown 2, which says live action. How are you in here with the anime? Okay, so get that one. That one doesn't count. Secret World of Arietta, Eddie, 149,000. JJK0 at 148. So if it hits 165, it'll definitely be in the top 10. If we have a newer data coming from the article here. So yeah, it's definitely up there. And let's get into the rest of the actual article. Jujutsu Kaisen Zero's runaway success has sparked a new conversation about how little the anime industry pays its English voice actors. Interesting. I feel like it's odd to call it the anime industry. I would specify that to the dubbing industry, because you have anime. You have, so whether it's a manga, an original, a light novel, however it's being made, it's going to be made by a studio. That studio is going to produce it. They're going to do the animation. They're going to do the original voices. They're going to do the score. They're going to make everything with the anime. At that point, you have an anime. It's going to get broadcast on Japanese television or sold to Netflix or Crunchyroll, whoever is going to end up buying it, Sony, that kind of thing. And then the people who are licensing it here in America are then going to hire a dub cast in order to get it done in English, because they want to have their English voice actors doing it. So it is technically part of the anime industry stream, like from studio to someone watching it in English, but it's not exactly the industry specifically. I would call the dubbing industry a separate industry when it comes to looking at who's paying who what. The animated prequel movie debuted in North America in March. Box Office Mojo estimates the film has now made a healthy $30 million USD at the American box office. The film's international release follows a blockbuster run in Japanese theaters, where it was released last December and quickly managed to become the highest grossing film in the region for 2021. One of the top 10 highest grossing anime movies ever seen. Movie is currently estimated to have earned 162. We just looked at that number, and if it is 162, it would move up. Right now, the other number is 150. Almost doubling the 85 million USD that distributor Toho Limited originally projected for the film to earn over its entire lifetime. While Jujutsu Kaisen Zero is generating substantial profits for its producers, the film's English voice cast have started speaking up about how little they were paid for their contributions to the movie. And here we have Tara Jane Sands. I also want to make it clear that I am not blaming the recording studio for this, since they are given budgets that they must stick to. These changes need to come from the top. It's hard to know if the people at the top even hear our requests or frustrations. I would blame the recording studio. Little something about how contracts work and how different people get paid is, yes, they have a budget they have to stick to that is whatever they negotiated for the work, right? So if you have a tree, you want to get that tree removed. You get someone to come to your house and you're like, hey, take a look at this tree. Tell me how much it'll get rid of. And they'll tell you it's $1,000 to get rid of this tree. You're like, I don't know about that. And they say, well, I've got 3 guys that are all going to work an hour. That's $300 a piece for those guys. And then I have a little overhead for insurance or rentals or, whatever else we need to do to make sure that we get that on my margin. And so you can sell, or you can buy his contract for $1,000, and then the next day he shows up with 2 people and does it and gets it done. Maybe he's throwing in the third person's weight himself, whatever may happen. So he's able to take that as what, he's getting paid to increase his margins, but he can do it with 2 people. It doesn't matter how many people they show up with or how they pay their people. All that matters is your contract between the 2 of you. And so when they have that contract built out, so if studio comes in and says, hey, we've got this movie, we need to get it dubbed, they go to the dub studio, or I guess the licenser in this case would go to the studio and say, hey, we need to get this dubbed. Here's the lines, here's the script, here's something. What does it cost? What are we looking at? And then they're going to get an estimate for what that contract would be. And so it's in that negotiation there that you're going to have the ability to fight for, we need twice as much to make this work, as we would have previously been doing. And there's like a weird problem there with the way that the system is going to work is you say, I need more because I need to pay the people more. And they say, well, we can go over here, and they're going to do it for less. Or they can say, we're going to go over here, and they're going to do it for less. And so you're going to have multiple studios. If you've ever done the tree analogy here, you're going to call multiple people to see who's going to come and give you the best deal. Some guy may show up and say, I got 1,500. Some other gal has her company. She says we can do it for 900. And you're going to get them to bid against each other. Say this person will do it for that. This person will do it for that. And you're going to be shopping around to get the best deal you can. And the hope is that all of these contractors, all of these companies that are doing this work are going to have a standard. Whether that standard is enforced from the different regulations they have to deal with, the minimum wages they have to deal with, other things can influence that. And a lot of times it's just kind of looking at their competitors. What does my competitor charge? What do I do? How can I be either at that price with more value, or increase my value and charge more? Or maybe I can do it real cheap. I have not a lot of value to it, but it's quick and we can just make it even cheaper. We can undercut them. So every studio should be fighting for what they're going to do here. And so it's really going to come down to that. And somebody may say, well, you don't know how the licensing studios work. You don't know how they have to pay the bills and keep the lights on, and they need these contracts. And like, yeah, they do need these contracts. And apparently they also need the dubbing done. So charge more or negotiate more with the contract. That's what I have to say there. So do not make a tweet that says, I'm not blaming the company I work for. They have a strict budget, but these people need to trickle down the money more. Your company that you work for, you may want to be in their good graces, but it's also their job to be negotiating a better rate for you, or a better budget for the dub that they're working on. So and if they're not, then they're not. And a lot of that may come down to just how few there are. Like there's not a lot of studios doing it, which in any other industry would mean they can charge as much as they want. But with anime specifically, you have a very, I don't want to call it an inbred sort of business model where everybody's sort of buddy and everybody's just like, yeah, we gotta do this. We gotta do it for the love of the anime, and they forget that they need to make money. They need to make this work for everybody. Tara Jane Sands, who voices the character of Momo Nishimiya and Urahime Iori. So let's real quick grab their characters just so we can have a cartoon face to put to their name. Okay, and Utahime. Images. Alrighty, so here is Utahime. She's got a scar and traditional Shinto robes. And Momo has the witch's bloom, and she flies around doing her stuff. In the series, stated that she was paid just $150 USD for her role in the film. Okay. That doesn't sound like a lot. The voice actor's statements were posted as a reply to a tweet from fellow voice actor Sean Chiplock, Legends of the Heroes Trails of Cold Steel, who stated that actors on the film would not receive any royalties or post-release payments stemming from the movie's success. San stated that she unsuccessfully attempted to negotiate a higher wage since Jujutsu Kaisen 0 would be a theatrical release. The actor further clarified that she doesn't blame the recording studios as they are given a strict budget by the company's mind. We just read her tweet. Fans believe changes need to happen at the top. Yeah, you just rewrote her tweet. Okay, let's be really specific. Urahime Yori, the flying witch girl, had 3 lines. She had a few, like 30 seconds of dialogue that she had up at the top, and I don't remember Momo Nishimiya maybe at the high school. So not a ton of lines, not a ton going in there. It is practically speaking, if you just looked at the movie and not at the series, if we're just looking at the movie and the amount of time they're on screen, the amount of time they're saying something, a passing character, a person walking saying, "Oh, let's get lunch later," something like that. So the 150 for her role in the film could have been the minimum, like a 2-hour rate, right? You get in, you say these 6 or 7 lines until they're right, and then you're done. Which is how, if you don't know, most of these things work. You have a some sort of hourly rate. Sometimes you're guaranteed 2 hours, and the higher up you are in the dubbing prolificness, the cooler you are, and the more people know your actual name and not just the characters you voice, the more you can negotiate as far as how much you make. But $150, I'm going to assume this is a 2-hour session in order to do that. Here's what we won't hear, and what would be enlightening about pay rates is, what did Gojo's voice actor make, and did they get royalties or a percent? If you look at like most Hollywood movies, they'll get a flat rate, they'll get like a 20 million plus 6% of the is it gross? Do they take gross of the first weekend box office? I forget. But they'll take some percent of the first weekend box office sales, and that ends up being, you see these crazy $100 million figures with like Avengers and that kind of thing, where actors are making just hand over fist because their agents were able to negotiate really good percentages on a movie that ended up doing very well in theaters. And so that usually, though, is only going to be your main characters, your primary characters, the people that are they're in every scene. They're the show's about them, that kind of thing. Those are going to be who gets to have that percent, that royalty. I don't I get that she didn't make a lot in the grand scheme of things. And again, it's up to her studio to ask for more money to make the dub, to then give her more. But the real question is, how much did some of those more mainline characters make? How much did Panda make? How much did the real question is, how much Cursed Speech make? What is his name? Hold on. Cursed Speech. Inumaki, this guy. How much did they make? Because their entire dialogue, it could have been pre-recorded months ago, because they just say rice toppings in order to not curse people all the time. It's fantastic. I love it. But even that character was a lot more pivotal, and I could see them having an argument for a a percent or some sort of some kind of, what do you call it, royalty from the actual show. Let's get into this. San's statements echo similar sentiments from voice actor Kaiji Tang, who stars in the movie as the voice of Satoru Gojo. Tang stated that he would not be able to make a living as an anime voice actor if he did not also do audiobook and educational work on the side. 100%. Hold on. Let's finish this paragraph before I rant. The actor also revealed that English voice actors are given very little prep time for their roles and often have to do cold reads on the script as they are recording the lines that will be used in the final product. Okay, yes, true. The world of voice acting as we have currently is one of, like I said, it's handshakes and people who just really want to be in it. They want to do it. They want to be in anime, and so because there's people who are just like, I want to do that, it drives down the amount that you're going to pay because there's so many people that'll just jump in and do it. Are they good? No. But you also have to be looking at anime as the subs versus dubs war, right? There are people who are hardcore never going to listen to you that are a large chunk, I would say, of the anime fandom. People like myself who watch both a dub and a sub and then decide which set of voice actors I think I would rather follow. Or, more importantly, if I want to watch the show and stay up to date, I have to watch a sub. So the work that's being done for the anime dubbing, because you usually have that 1 week delay if it is simulcast, you're not getting a product that's new and awesome, and like people are like, oh, we got to get the new dub episode or whatever it may be. The Space Dandy comes to mind, where it released in English first, and everyone was like, whoa, I can watch it in English first, and it's, a good dub, and it was fun, and it was a good show. We had all of it. Like the way that one was released and happened here in America, really, really good, really fantastic. We wanted to see more of that. Of course, we ended up with Koof Koof coming around that sort of drove everybody out of the booths, because last thing you want when there's a viral load and everybody's spit is to sit next to somebody else's spit guard. But it'll be good to see if we get past all this. Everybody's going to be going back into studio. We're going to get more people doing stuff more quickly. If we can actually be putting out product, next week is deal withable, but realistically, the dub needs to be coming out the next day, if that. Same day would be preferred, but it really does need to be coming out fast. That idea that voice actors are given very little prep time, because it needs to come out. It needs to be new. If you want to be fresh on the internet, you've got to be releasing stuff. You've got to be putting it out. You've got to be, just churning the content so that people will actually be there. They'll follow you. Because as soon as look at Dress Up Darling last season. Every single day that there was a new episode releasing, there was an entire series of GIFs that were blasted on Reddit, Twitter, YouTube. Everybody was showing like, oh, look at this cute scene. Look at this cute scene. Look at this cute scene. And the only time people are going to be looking at it in English is if the English had come out at the same time as the Japanese. Now, it's hard to do. It's hard to produce something like that and have it be a high enough quality that people are going to be excited and interested in it. But that's why they're given very little prep time. Back to the article here. Several other prominent voice actors, including Stephanie Sheh and Kyle McCarley, have pushed for the anime industry to adopt union dubbing. While some distributors, such as G-Kids and Netflix, do utilize some union voice work, the majority of the English voice acting industry is non-union. Okay, I think we ended the article there. Union dubbing in this context makes a lot of sense because of the fact that everybody is sort of doing more or less the same work, but because they're all freelancers, they're all working for, they don't really work for a company. Like you don't always hear the same voice actors at a studio. Like a voice actor could go back and forth between Bang Zoom and Funimation or Okratron. Oh, why is your dang name so hard to say? And back in the day, we had ADV as well. I think Sentai Filmworks still doing stuff, but I don't hear their name very often. But because you've got all these different studios that are producing the dubs, and they're just saying who wants to voice act in this, and it usually ends up just being, or historically it was whoever was closest. Nowadays, a lot of them are doing the voice acting from their own studios. It really limits how much negotiating power they have, because they'll put out a job. Everybody says, I want to apply for this job, and then everybody applies for the job, then suddenly the price for the job goes down. And it really creates that system. But this idea that the studio isn't to blame, the recording dubbing studio isn't to blame for the low rates, is ridiculous. Look at your contract. I'm assuming all these freelancers are running contracts. Whoever's name is at the top of that contract, that's the person who negotiated with the next person how much they can pay you, and how much money is available in your pool. Whether or not the studios even negotiated for those sort of royalties and stuff to then pass through to the actors is an unknown as well, right? Without getting my hands on one of these contracts specifically, I guess I could dive through the Kiwi farms and see if anybody's already gotten that, but it's hard to say exactly how much negotiating power they used, right? Because if Okratron, why do I even bother trying to say, says, oh, we'll do this for $100 an hour. We have 400 hours that we're going to be working on this. And then they pay their people $65 an hour. There's their overhead margins for what should be, typically is stuff for everybody else's cost associated with running the business. It's up to them to really negotiate that number and that amount. But then what happens is Bang Zoom says, well, we'll do it for X, Y, or Z dollar, and suddenly they're the undercut. But you always have one of these studios because it doesn't take much to set up. It's a microphone, mixer, and some good mastering software, and a few people that can hit record and know what they're doing to make these pop up. And then your only real issue is getting it into the anime industry so that you can actually shake hands and do that. Overall, it's just not gonna fix itself until everybody decides we need to be paid more, or we need to make more, because then the licensor can pay X, Y, or Z. Because let's think about it. If Sony is your licensor, because if everything's going through Crunchyroll now, so that's a Sony company. How much? Let's see. Sony animated movies. Let's see. What did Sony make? Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. Okay. Let's see if we can find some numbers here. Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. Budget. $245 million budget. Is this real? It grossed over 1.3 billion worldwide against a combined production budget of $245 million. Whoo, baby. Those are some numbers. How did it gross that much when it released in... Oh, no. That's the previous one. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, that didn't... Hold on. Where is our budget here? Production. Release, budget. Runtime, box office. How do you have a box office? I thought you were online only. Am I crazy here? Am I going crazy? Am I not thinking of this correctly? Financial information? International box office. Yeah, it says international box office. Interesting. Full financials. Oh, I can contact them at the numbers. Okay, well, let's hold on. Maybe I can use this website. Let's do Sony Animation again. We'll see. Something that's a cartoon. Spider-Man. No, Spider-Man's gonna have a bajillion dollars. Do they have any cartoons where it's truly animated and not completely goodness, everything is 3D nowadays. Why is everything 3D? This is ridiculous. Release films. Okay, Surf's Up. What? They're all Arthur, Smurfs, Hotels, Goosebumps. Peter Rabbit? What? Okay, is there not a 2D animated Sony thing? Hold on. Maybe if I specify 2D, we can figure this out. Sony 2D animated movie. All right, well. I guess we can just use Into the Spiderverse. Let's see. Spiderverse budget. This may be public. $90 million. Ooh. An estimated $90 million budget. We can assume about half of that was for the marketing, I think, or is it 30% marketing? 30, so we'll say $60 million budget that grossed 190. So if we're looking at this, calculator. Do have a $90 million budget that is going into a $190 million profit. We're at 47%. So if we take that same 47%, multiply it by the 30 million that Jujutsu Kaisen made, then we are looking at a license worth, well, 14 million would be license plus marketing. So you got 14 million at licensing plus marketing. We'll pretend that the marketing costs, it's probably going to be even higher. We'll say 50% marketing on that. You got $7 million for the license. And that has to go into all of your streaming, all of your, or I guess not streaming, but all of the creation costs that are associated with. So we'll take Sony in this instance. Sony of America is then using that $7 million for all of the bureaucracy to then get down to paying people, 60 to 90 an hour for their dub. So the money's there. Like the money, that license has to be worth that much. Plus you're talking Sony bucks. So Sony has the ability to buy it. And then, even though like Sony, is buying that license and then able to pass it around, they're also going to put it on Crunchyroll, right? So they also have the means of sending it around. So that will cost money as well. And that's not cheap either. I think it's $250 an hour for running a streaming host. At least based on like Amazon Web Services. So you've got the cost of all of this going in there. They need to make their money, but there's room there for the recording studio to argue for more money. and whatever that negotiation is, that's the first place that you fix voice actor rates. That's where you are going to make it so that people are more interested in or are getting paid more. But all that being said, I don't know that it'll still be you can make money on it, right? Because you've got, well, how many anime are we watching this season? We are watching, I think 12 shows probably that we're going to be watching this season. Each show has, 5 main characters in it, 12 by 5, and you'd have to be the main character in multiple shows in order to make sure that you have enough lines in order to make sure that you can make your money, right? If we take, an average income of $600, right, you're going to need either 10 hours in the booth at the current rate or 5 hours in the booth at, a higher negotiator rate if people start actually negotiating higher rates in order to really survive off of. I would even really call that, depending on where you live, of course, that's going to change. Here in Northwest, that's going to be your survival income, definitely. Yeah, goodness. Let me see. I don't know. Ultimately, it's going to go to the cheapest bidder who can do it the best. And that's kind of how all negotiations work, right? Like why should you make more? And there's a lot of people that have trouble saying, I'm better, I'm good. And you need to say it. You need to do it. And the studio needs to do it. The recording studio needs to do it in order to make sure that they, are getting people. And they need to be okay with losing some contracts, right? From what I understand, you're looking, if you got a studio with higher rates, somebody like a Bang Zoom, they're in bed with Netflix probably. They've got kind of a guarantee there. So when these contracts come in, I'm sure they can just say, hey, we're going to do it up here. And if you don't hit us here, they still have other stuff that they're going to go and do. So it's a tough and go. It's a bit touchy. Let's see if I had anything else on here for tonight. Open it up. Open it up. Don't you know? Open it up. This might be fun. Little lighter, little lighter than just saying you should argue for more money. Oh, okay. Let's jump into this. This will be a little more lighthearted, a little more fun, and something that I've got eyes on. So I have been an anime fan since I was a wee child, watching Slayers and the original Guyver run and Evangelion. I was raised on Japanese animation essentially. And you want to count Power Rangers, basically Tokusatsu and Godzilla. Pokemon was a huge craze when I was a kid. A lot of that. And so I find it funny when articles like this pop up. Why is anime so popular after years of being ignored? Why indeed? Why is it popular? Could it be that anime and animation has tried to be serious for a lot longer than Western animation has? It could be. But let's find out. Let's see what this CBR, what the Canadian something cartoon something. I don't know what this website is, but I saw it and I was like, I need to read this. I need to drink my way through this. Alrighty. Becoming an anime fan has never been easier, but why is it more acceptable now than it was several years ago? I would say it's not necessarily acceptable. It is out there, but it is not like outright acceptable. I don't know. You tell me. If you're going to school, is it okay for you to say that you like anime? The anime industry has seen a massive boom in the West in recent years, with titles such as My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer becoming some of the most popular. The rise of social media, streaming services, and more easily accessible content are mostly to thank for this, as they make it easier for fans to gather and consume media. True. This is a far cry from how it was in the early days of the internet, when trying to find episodes was difficult and dangerous thanks to shady virus-riddled sites and questionable downloading services. Despite this setback, anime was still accessible through TV and stores like FYE. It wasn't like there weren't options, so why has anime become more accepted now than it used to be? I'll tell you why. It's more accepted now. It's not. You just have a place that you can go and you can see more of it. The internet came out and released this ability for people to find communities that they can gather around and they can build around, for better or worse, and build entire websites and ecosystems around specific things that they really like. Back before the internet, we went to a place called Scarecrow Video. And you would go to Scarecrow Video and you would go to the international animation section. And the international animation section, there would be a animated porn movie next to an animated gore movie next to an animated kids movie, because it was all just international animated shows. You had to wade in there and you had to look and try to discern the difference between a Macross and a Legends of the Galactic Heroes and a Ninja Scroll. And you're there with your dad and he's like, oh, this one looks like it'll be okay, and he throws it on the counter and you leave. And you feel like you're going behind the curtain at like an adult video section, like, ooh, I'm not supposed to necessarily be here. There's a boobie on that cover, you know? And it's just, it was a place you had to go, you had to physically be there, you had to like look into it, and you had to find it, and then you would have to take it home, watch it, see if it was okay, and then actually, you know, enjoy it, right? Like, there weren't this, like, accessible through TV. Yeah, kinda. I mean, you had Dragon Ball and like the Toonami block, but like when did the Toonami block even start? But I always forget. 1997, right? Okay, so 1997, you got the Toonami block launching. Like there's a lot of time before 1997. And people still wanted to watch anime and animated shows, and we did, and it was okay. Virus riddled sites, yeah, I mean, technically you could get a virus on like a LimeWire or any of those old torrenting sites, but you wouldn't get a virus on old YouTube. You just had to find parts 1, 2, and 3 of each anime episode you wanted to watch, because they could only upload 10-minute versions of everything, and then you couldn't find like the second part, so you watch the first part and the third part and you're like, well, I can kind of guess what's in the middle. You know, and you just kind of went from there, and you had to make up your own story. And I think that's why some of the boomer anime enthusiasts are not super keen on a lot of the modern shows, because they grew up having to figure out what the story would be, so they have a really good mind at telling where they're going to be going with this. Yeah, sure, FYE was your only way to get anime. How anime, and okay, let's also say anime was stigmatized because of the audience. The people that liked anime, the people that were into anime, the original weebs were weird. We were weird. We did weird things. We should not have been allowed together in public, but we did. And most of those videos can't be played on the internet without somebody getting some sort of Me Too claim anymore. That is you can't show what used to happen at a convention, because it would be so unconsensual that you would not be about it. That just, we shouldn't have been allowed. We joined up and found ways to build clubs anyway. So yeah, it wasn't exactly acceptable. It still probably isn't acceptable the way that anime used to be enjoyed and consumed. Oh goodness. Let's see. How anime is consumed plays a major part in this increased acceptance. Before the days of Crunchyroll and Netflix, anime fans had to rely on questionable sites or spend lots of money to obtain merchandise. And you can tell immediately the age of the person who wrote this article. We'll see if we can find it, but I'm gonna say that this person is maybe 24, 25. This person thinks they're an anime boomer fan, and even I'm not like that. Like, I remember the VHS days. I remember rewinding it before we could take it back to the show. I remember when Netflix released and we could actually get stuff like sent to our door, and you have to wait a week for the next one. But the fact that they're talking about DVDs on the list can tell you pretty immediately they weren't there looking through the VHS hard copies of all of this. Every once in a while, major retailers like Walmart would have anime DVDs available for reasonable prices, but for the most part, it wasn't nearly as easy to get a hold of anime as it is today. There were stories that had a fairly large selection of anime, like Suncoast and FYE, so it wasn't completely impossible. And eBay and Amazon had DVDs available through individual retailers. However, especially for younger fans who didn't have any money of their own, this was moot. Yeah, same. I mean, it was still moot. How do you have a Demon City picture here when you're talking about DVDs and anime? Like, come on, you're a little too old for this, or too young for this. Oh, here we go. They interviewed somebody, I guess. Fans in the 80s and early 90s had it even harder than their 2000s counterparts. Anime distribution was in its early era, and not every series got the quality localization that's commonplace today. Even now, some still suffer from poor voice acting or translations. I love Speed Racer and its original English dub. It is so fantastic. I love racing because of Speed Racer. It is a beautiful thing. One of the most common ways people were introduced to anime during this time was having an unsuspecting family member find some random video of cartoons and buy it for them, not knowing what the content was other than containing colorful characters. Many a child was accidentally given copies of Ninja Scroll or Wicked City because the person gifting them just thought it was some child-friendly animated movie. I watched Guyver by my dad watching an episode, and then we'd watch the episode, then he'd watch the next episode, then we'd watch it, and so he would pre-screen them. And that was just bodies exploding and into monsters, right? So it wasn't even I didn't originally see the Ninja Scrolls and the Wicked Cities because he was previewing them and kind of running point on that. But could you imagine popping in Ninja Scroll because grandma got it for you and it's got the opening scene? Oh my goodness. That would be something. Ooh. Oh my goodness. All right. Boom. I will say, when Toonami came out, and we didn't have cable yet, but my grandparents did, and my grandma would record Dragon Ball and Gundam Wing and Sailor Moon, and every week she would give me and my sister VHS tapes of the cartoons. Here's your cartoons for you. Okay. I know how much you love those cartoons. It was fantastic. It was the best. It was my Grammy dope dealer giving me that sweet anime goodness. Eventually, see, look how much happier I am now. We're not talking about business and people complaining about the wrong people. Eventually, anime started garnering popularity with younger generations thanks to networks starting to dip their toes into broadcasting it on TV after school. 1997, Toonami. Thank you very much. There were some anime before that, but that was the big one that everybody talks about. This contributed to the increase in interest, but even then, if someone liked anime, they were still seen as the weird kid in many circles. You know what makes you the weird kid in any circle is having any food that isn't a PB&J. If your lunch isn't boring, you're gonna be the weird kid. Part of that was growing up, and my parents and we would go to Wajimaya, we'd go to some Asian markets, we'd get some food. We love stir fry nights, and so we'd have leftover stir fry. But I've had sandwiches that like people literally left the table because of how the sandwich smelled, and I loved it. I love that kind of stuff, but There's a lot of people that just freak out. I had someone freak out about my Fluffernutter sandwich one time. Was that? Oh, I thought I heard a cat or something. That was weird. I had someone freak out about a Fluffernutter sandwich on me. That's how weird kids are, right? Like a Fluffernutter, peanut butter, marshmallow fluff. It's amazing. It's delicious. It's the best. You put some chocolate chips on it. It's even better. You go sit down at a table in middle school. Ew, what's in your sandwich? Is that mayo? Is that... Kids are weird. Kids are weird. So you're going to be the weird kid no matter what. That's just how life works. If you're not the weird kid, you're an asshole. This contributed to the increase in interest, but even then, if someone liked anime, they were still seen as the weird kid in many circles. While not always the case, anime was often viewed as something geeky kids liked. I don't know, not geeky, alt kids. Like kids that like... Most of my friends who also enjoyed anime painted their nails with Sharpies. Like that kid. That's the anime lover kid. Shout out, hit that like button if you painted your nails with Sharpies. These views would slowly begin to shift as the internet became more streamlined and social media began to rise, but it wouldn't be until the mid-2010s that anime became more widely accepted, as sites such as Netflix and Hulu offered more and more titles for streaming. It also therefore became easier to watch an entire season of a show in one sitting. You know what made anime mainstream, and I will say this unironically, Kim Kardashian posting "Darling in the Franxx," #hair goals. That single act made anime okay in the eyes of a lot of people. Even throughout the age of the internet, with anime being more easy to find, it was still the groups of weirdos that liked anime. We all just got together in these weirdo blocks and talked about how we liked this show or hated that show. We had little forums that we would get on and MySpace groups and all that kind of stuff where we talk about the anime we enjoyed, we watched, we'd share clips, that kind of stuff. It was still just all these sort of weirdos, and it really is the rap industry started it, really. With, you've got a lot of anime references in rap, and a lot of people that will say like, oh, Goku was my hero growing up. And so that started to streamline it, mainline it. And then you have someone in the influencing position of Kim Kardashian say, yeah, I like this anime hair. It doesn't say anything about the show. It doesn't say anything about whether or not anime is good. It doesn't say any of that. But the fact that like an aesthetic is something to be sought for changes the game there. And I think that more than just the internet and Netflix having it available is sort of what makes things more mainstream. It's one person up at the top being able to say, yeah, I'm weird too. That's what will make something mainstream. Jumping into a series has now become far easier thanks to streaming. Unless someone had been watching a series since the very beginning, it was hard for new fans to begin a series being broadcast on TV, like Gundam Wing. Now, someone interested in starting an anime can just look it up on whatever streaming service they use and quickly catch up on what happens in a relatively short amount of time. Smartphones have made this even easier since people can watch anime on the go. Moreover, in terms of manga, being able to pay a small fee for access to an entire library helps, as is the case with Jump Plus app. One could argue that becoming an anime fan has never been easier, but being easier wouldn't necessarily... I think you lost the plot on this article. Something being easy to access doesn't make it necessarily popular. It doesn't destigmatize it. It doesn't make it something that people want to jump into and enjoy and go do. A lot more of that is up to if the thing itself has a community around it. There's people that you want to engage with over it, right? The reason soccer wasn't really popular in America is because not a lot of people really played it or watched it. Now that we're playing it and we're watching it, soccer is starting to build and build and build. And so you have these little groups, little communities that start telling a person until it gets more and more and more popular, right? And so it's this slow growth until it's a big explosion of everybody sees it, everybody enjoys it. That's sort of what leads to these things becoming popular and hitting a point where everybody wants to enjoy it. Was there something? I feel like there was something in there. Oh yeah, what? It wasn't hard to get whole series back in the day. I don't understand this. Uh, it was difficult to watch on TV a full series, but that's true for anything, because if something's coming out every week, you had to catch it at that time. Unless you had it being recorded, you had a VCR, and you had a tape, and you had it either timed correctly or anything like that. So it was hard to actually catch stuff to watch it if it was on TV. But the stuff that wasn't on TV wasn't that hard to catch up on. Like, you go to the weird stores, like I said, we had Scarecrow Video, so you had to go out to Seattle to actually get it. But when you got there, they would have 1, 2, 3, 4, like they had the full lineup of all of the VHSs that you could buy. They had the orange boxes of Dragon Ball. You had all of this stuff that you could get, and you could start at the beginning and just work your way through. And then when torrenting came around, you could jump on and you could find the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, right? I remember losing an entire summer to watching all of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT beginning to end. Even though I had seen a lot of episodes on Toonami, it was just really fun to watch it all the way through and say, I've seen it all. I know what it all is. That was really enjoyable. And you could do that with anything. I mean, I did the same thing with your Yu Yu Hakusho, with your Tenchi universe. You've got all these shows, and you just have to go out and find them by Googling real quick. Like, as soon as the internet came out and people could share stuff peer to peer, it was really easy to find stuff, and it was easy right up until now, where you can just stream it. You're not wondering if it is a virus. And here's a quick tip: if you ever want to wade your foot into that world, if it's a full series of VHS rips and this file is just a few kilobytes, it's probably not real. If you go to download that thing and you clicked it and it was like, and it took like a second, that one's a virus. Get rid of it immediately, or have some good virus software already on your computer. I never really had any issues with that growing up. I guess we had one major virus that hit our computer, but I still don't think that was me. I don't think that was me. Also manga, like, yes, now manga is on your phone, but even when I was growing up, we had manga at the public library, and your public library is going to be down to, whatever your local library wants to buy and keep. But at least our county-wide library system, you could get all, like, I read all of Initial D by going there. I think we read all of Fruits Basket by going to the library. I reread a bunch of the Dragon Ball manga going to the library. So you could definitely find stuff and look it up. There's a manga that I read from the King County Library System, and I still to this day cannot find it, and nobody can find it for the life of me. And it was a school, it was a monster school, and these guys were like misfits, because they're always misfits at like a monster school. And so you've got these misfits at a monster school, and the main character was a girl, and it had that sort of like reverse harem vibe to it. But the main characters that I remember were a Frankenstein monster, a werewolf, and a vampire. And something happens, and they've got to like fight some people, fight some things. And the scene that is most stuck in my head is the vampire kid gets cut in half practically, and they're like, oh no, he's dead. And then all of a sudden his blood like comes to life and is this crazy vampire monster, and they're like, oh, he's a Nosferatu level vampire. I remember this scene. I can see this. I could probably draw the page from this manga, but I cannot for the life of me find it. It was at the King County Library System. Something about monsters, something not Monster High, because none of that ever works to like find it. But there was a vampire kid. He was a Nosferatu level vampire, and the Frankenstein's monster and the werewolf also had some cool, like, oh, it was a silver werewolf, or whatever. They also were cooler. But I remember so specifically and so vividly Plus, I had probably just seen the original Nosferatu, but this Nosferatu level vampire, if anyone can find that, if you could help me find this manga, I will be forever grateful to you. That is something that I have been unable to find and unable to locate, and I've been looking for a very long time. So if you can help me find that, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, the rant is just about how you could also read manga at your library, but now it is in your pocket, which is cool. Like the internet's done some really cool things. Like I said, bringing the community together, showing us that there's more than just a few hundred of us that would gather in a convention hall to swap hand labeled VHSs around. Oh boy, I think that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. A little early. We can call it early. We'll be good with that. Anyway, thank you for joining me in the escape corner. Little business, a little heady, a little, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about money, but if our hobby doesn't make money, our hobby goes away. So I think it's important to talk about the financials of things. A lot of people grew up with this idea of like, oh, you don't talk about money, you don't talk about how much you make, don't talk about blah blah. Talk about it. It's important to know, it's important to figure out, because the more people understand how money moves and where it moves, the better off everything is. We were looking at it, that $7 million that I'm estimating just the license could cost. That could have gone to so many things, or the budget after license. That was the license. It wasn't the license. I don't remember what I budgeted now. Goodness. I've gone on a lot of sidetracks here. Sake is definitely helping. Anyway, the more we understand like how much money moves where and where that money moves, the better off everybody is. Because you'll hear stories all the time of like, oh, this business got paid $1,000 to remove this tree, but the people removing it only made $600. Something like that, and they don't see the rental costs, the vehicle costs, the insurance costs, the some of the taxes, the payroll taxes, the just the B&O, the business and operations tax, or what is the O? B&O tax, whatever the O stands for. There's all these other things that go into that on the back end that I think people should know about, should be interested in, and should learn about. You don't need a full business class, but like a quick 101. And if we can do it by looking at a specific escape and really dive into it, then I think that's important, because we like these worlds, we like these adventures, we like our escapes, and we want them to stick around. So I hope you enjoyed it. I plan to do more in the future, and make sure to hit that like button, shoot me a comment, let me know what your escape is that you'd like me to take a look at some financials or some part of the budget on, and we'll see you next time. Kanpai.